collections or sub-collections. I just have had a bit of a hard time thinking how I want to go about sharing that collection. It is very extensive, so the thought of doing one whole collection video is kind of daunting to me. So I thought I could at least start with one of the more manageable pieces of it, which are my vertebrate fossils. So everything on this table here, or some of the things in this jar, came from a vertebrate. So it has a backbone and a spinal cord. I really love fossils. I started my collection primarily around things that I found myself, and I started being really hard line that I was only going to include fossils I personally found, but I gave that up pretty quickly. There are just areas that I'll never be able to go to, so I do have on this table a couple of things that I did find, but the majority has just been collected over the years. And I find fossils just really fascinating and beautiful and really kind of poignant. Such a magical combination of things that allowed these particular pieces of a world we'll never get to see to make it here to us today. So I think they're really fascinating, and as a lifelong science lover, really important and really special. So we'll start on the right and work our way over. I have here 3 different fish, and you can kind of see a variety of different ways that fossils can preserve. So this is more of a indentation or a silhouette fossil. So the animal was smushed flat as it fell onto the seabed, and it still preserves some really beautiful details. You can see that delicate spine there, the beautiful little fins, but it is on this flat piece of sedimentary rock, and it's more so an impression than a true full 3-dimensional fossil. These 2 here are, as you can see, a fuller picture of what that organism would have looked like in life. I love on both of these incredible scales that have been preserved. So we have the head up at this end, and you can see its beautiful scales down towards the tail. It doesn't have a fully preserved head, which would be very cool, but not in this specimen, unfortunately. And then this one says that the pride of my fish specimens has a really beautiful face here. You can still see that open-mouthed jaw, and here's where the eye is, and these really gorgeous scales down the back, and it has a beautiful shine to it. Just a really cool piece here, and a pretty big fish as well, at least for my collection. And this one is really lovely. I won't be doing too much tapping on these because they are pretty delicate, but maybe you can hear just a bit of that sedimentary medium. I think it's cool to have a couple of different specimens to compare, and they do sit really nicely on a shelf, so I think these are really fun pieces. Moving to the left here, this is part of a spinal column. I would guess that this is some kind of a smaller mammal, or it could be a big fish. This was given to me, so I don't have a lot of details, and as you can see, compared to another vertebrae here, it's missing whatever other structural pieces would have been alongside it, so it's a little hard to determine, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's rich black color, and you can see the detail of the bone. If you've never held a fossil, you can hear it. Of course, it is bone that has calcified or mineralized and been replaced over a very, very long period of time by those minerals. So they're very, very porous, the bones at least. You can see the matrix inside of how the bone would have been structured. And oftentimes they're pretty light compared to what a full rock would be of that size, but they're going to be, of course, a lot heavier than a normal bone. You can hear they still sound like stone. So if you're out hunting and you don't know if something is a fossil or a modern bone, you can tap it. You can hear the difference. Also, if you don't know if it's a fossil or a rock, a fossil bone will stick to your tongue because of how porous that structure is. So, not recommending going around licking rocks, but that helps me. It is a way to identify fossils. I think this one's really beautiful. I love that dark color, and I love some of these gorgeous details here. This is one of the first big fossils that I found myself. So I'm really proud of this one, and I will always have this one in my collection. I actually found this after a hurricane, and I thought, oh, it would be a really good time to go down to the beach and just stick around and see what washed up. I did find this on a known fossil beach, but it actually isn't from that formation, because that beach is known for a time period that much predates vertebrates. So things like really beautiful, gorgeous big clam shells and large shells, but no vertebrates. So this must have washed in from the storm, from other deposits nearby, or out in the water more. So just to orient you a little bit, you probably can tell from this structure here, this is the top of a bone that would sit in your hip. Here's that ball socket, and it's pretty short, so I would guess, I haven't gotten this confirmed, but I would guess this is from some aquatic mammal, so maybe a seal or a porpoise of some kind. It's pretty short, but you can tell this is broken off down here. It's very rough, so the bone itself would have been a little bit longer than that. And I saw this piece sticking up out of the sand. It just looked different, you know? If you go fossil hunting yourself, you learn to spot things that just kind of don't look right, or shark's teeth have a really specific look in the water. So it caught my eye. I had to crawl under trees that had fallen down and gotten pulled in from shore, so it was pretty dramatic, but a really amazing find. This one does make really beautiful sounds. And again, you can tell it's not a modern bone. It is, in fact, a true fossil. It has that stony, almost kind of ceramic clink to it. Yeah, it doesn't feel or sound the way a bone does, which is a very dull kind of a thud. But it does have that amazing, amazing pore structure matrix for the bone. So really, really gorgeous, gorgeous. Awesome. Now, here, this is a land creature, so different from a lot of these others. This is actually a fossilized horse tooth. It's probably from the Midwest and America somewhere. And again, I love the color. I think it's so striking. Black like that, and you get all of the details of the wear of these teeth over time. And beautiful preserved detail on the teeth themselves. I think they do probably look very, very similar to modern horse teeth, which I'm not super familiar with, but they're such a striking shape as well. And this one has a bit of a different feel to it. It's very smooth, very much like the shark's teeth we'll get to in a minute. So it does feel very different from the fossil bones. Part of that may have been the deposits, but also the material, the organic material as well. With the teeth theme, I have a couple of shark's teeth here. I wish I have found one this big. I have some others in here that I did find myself, but to find a megalodon like this would be really cool. I've only ever found them like that big, but this one's really gorgeous. Has that beautiful serrated edge to it still. You can see it catch in the light, and it is missing a bit here, which means it's not like top of the line for a shark's tooth, but I think it's still a beautiful shape, beautiful size, and I love that dark color it's taken on as well. So you can just imagine with a tooth this big, how big that mouth would have been and the shark itself. This is not a very, very large megalodon tooth. You can get much bigger than this. So, an amazing creature. And a real testament to what the world would have been like when they were swimming around. We have a much smaller, more modest tooth. This is probably top of the line of what most people would find if they're going to go out fossil hunting as well, at least near me. And this one's been very well worn, so oftentimes they wash in from deposits and they get beaten about as they come in. So they get very worn down. You can still see that beautiful bed, the tooth here. It's lost that fine serrated point. And oftentimes they're dark like this, so if you're fossil hunting, I'd look for that triangular shape. Dark and very, very shiny. Always very shiny. So when I was a little girl, I would just sit out in the water at some of these fossil beaches, and they would wash up by me. My brother was always so jealous. He'd say, "Oh, they just come to you." But it just need to look and get used to seeing the shapes and looking for specific things. They're not too hard to find yourself. I do also have in here, see if I can find it, some whale baleen as well that I found. So this is fossilized baleen, and they always show up as these rectangular blocks, these beautiful, beautiful ridges of them. So again, they're pretty easy to spot. It could be ray or whale or whatever, but they're always these lovely, there's a piece down here too, rectangular and dark as well. So again, pretty easy to spot once you get used to it. I have some mixed things in here. There's a bit of ecphora, which is a shell, also shell, some sea glass, but I love collecting little odds and ends from my different trips. And I think they look so pretty in jars. So I do have a couple little shell jars and odds and ends. I think there are a few small shark's teeth as well in here. It's a bit hard to see them. They probably sunk into the middle of it. There you can see that ray baleen as well. And then last but not least, probably the thing most people have been looking at in this video, we have a whale vertebrae. And you can see compared to this just how massive this creature would have been. It's really an incredible piece. These beautiful concentric circles at the bone, and you can tell there were prongs here. I think a big blood vessel would have run through the top of this. It would have had a big prong that meets up here, and then you'd have a blood vessel, and then the nerve bundle would run through the center here. And these big supports on either side. You can see inside the amazing bone matrix. It's really beautiful here as well. And it's actually not that heavy for something of this size because it is quite porous. This, of course, is a marine animal, so you need more porous bones to be able to maintain that buoyancy compared to something like the horse here. So you can see the porosity and the roughness on both of these marine animals. I think this is a stellar specimen. I actually got what I think was a pretty amazing deal on it, but I love it. It'll stay in my collection for a very long time. And it makes beautiful tapping. It's not the single largest specimen I have. I do have a big shell that's probably a little bit larger than this, but I think it was the heaviest and the most recognizable and impressive one to a lot of people who see it in the collection. I don't have any dinosaurs. I don't have any skulls or anything like that, but I think this is still pretty spectacular. And just an amazing piece to make you think about all of the cool creatures that have called this home. and all of the coincidences that would have led to this specimen being preserved, being found, and ending up with me to share it to you all. Maybe a little short and sweet, but I hope it gave you a little bit an interesting look at some cool fossils. And maybe I'll finally get around to showing off a bit more of the collection a little bit later as well. Thank you for stopping by to learn about the magpie